What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. Joined on this Wednesday. Yes, I do know what day it is. By
There it is,
and Leger Douzable. What's up, fellas?
What up? Hey, before we start the show, I wanted to see if you guys saw what was circling on Twitter. The Ravens, right? They're not only supporting their players on the field, but off the field. Looks like Patrick Quinn is taking a shot at Dua Lipa, kind of following the Travis Kelce trend, right? You feel like you like somebody to take a shot at him. I kind of like that the Ravens back their guy here, not only trying to get him to the Pro Bowl, but trying to get him a date with Dua Lipa. What do you guys think about this?
I'll be honest. I read that and I see dual IPA, which makes me think
oh
of
my
like
God.
Is she? I don't know her stuff, but good for him. I like it.
She's an artist,
man.
Come on.
For sure know her stuff. You've heard Dua Lipa before. She's one of like the top Billboard artists.
There's a really good chance I haven't heard Dua Lipa.
I guarantee
you probably heard a song
Dua
you just
Lipa.
didn't know it was her.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, besides the point, every team should support their players in doing this, especially with what we've seen from the Chiefs and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. But even furthermore, these guys need to be like Tim Hardaway back when he played with the Miami Heat and he had a bad shooting night. You know what he kept doing? Kept shooting. Okay. Law of averages.
100% of the shots
he's going to shoot himself right back into that and hitting some shots. So I always remember when I was a kid, I watched Tim Hardaway. I was like, man, it's got to be like Tim Hardaway. Like most people said, be like Mike. I was like, nope, be like Tim Hardaway. Because you just keep shooting and eventually it's going to work, man. You shoot that shot. All right.
And if you're Southpaw,
anyone else in the NFL, you need some help, I will retweet that. I will like it. I'll help amplify it, whatever I can do, man. All you guys out there.
And if you're a Southpaw, be like Nick Van Exel. Just keep firing. You miss, you keep firing over and over again. I'll check it out after the show and see if I know her stuff. But yeah, like, dude, I just wholly support this. I mean, the Travis, like, if you are an NFL player and you start dating, I mean, obviously she's extremely famous. I just don't, if you start dating a famous singer-songwriter type, your brand and your profile is going to go through the roof. You might land Pfizer commercials.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Two things at once.
I mean, are you taking a jab there at someone, Will?
Literally and figuratively.
That's pretty good. Hey, you said it first. Shoot your shot, buddy.
I say get
we
your
can keep
shot.
going for days on this.
Your shot. All right.
Look, hey,
take the shots and shoot.
I love it. Like, but it's also like it's kind of fun, it's kind of amusing. Well, you know what? I'm not going to go off on a tangent about why. It's like people are like, oh, Travis Kelce trying to force it. It's like no, dude. He took a bunch of money from Big Pharma. Like he took a big cash influx from Big Pharma. I'll promote whoever. I'll promote McDonald's, Big Pharma, Big Turkey.
You know what I was just thinking? I was just thinking about this.
Big Milk?
No. And Leger, I want to get your opinion on this.
Okay. Because
people ask, like, hey, during this NIL era, how much would you have made? And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I probably would have made some when you're the quarterback in Notre Dame and you do decently well. Then I thought back and I was like, you know why I wouldn't have done as well as I could have? Because I couldn't have signed on for something that wasn't genuine. Like I wasn't going to be a NASCAR and just slap on all these different logos and like drive around like, hey, here's what I'm pitching here. Here's what I'm like. It'd have to be genuine, right?
Didn't you immediately get drafted and sign a deal with Hummer and do like I'm done commercial?
But okay, EAS was a supplement I used. When I was training. It was Columbus based. I loved it. So the story of H2, which is amazing, is one of my buddy's neighbors had one. So he would always get it to take us up to one of my other buddies' lake houses. Okay. So we drove in that thing like probably my last 2 years of college, going to lake houses in the summertime to go party at his family's place. And it was like, I was like, this car is like the greatest thing ever. Like they'd let me drive it because they'd be, hanging out partying. And I'd try, I'd be ready for the season. But I was always like, if I can get a deal with Hummer, like I'm going to go try to find a way. Those H2s were by far and away the best. Until gas prices hit like $7-8.
Exactly.
Then that fell by the wayside. But like everything I did was genuine to me. Like I wouldn't have done something and that's where like I get to like nowadays. And honestly, like even kids like going different schools and all that stuff, you're just like, oh yeah, they're going for this. It's like, no, they're not. It's like whatever they're getting paid.
Bro.
That's why
they're getting paid.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah. So it's interesting that you said that, right? Because for you, it was more like nostalgia. Like you grew up riding in the Hummer, so you actually believed in the product. Like you said, EAS, the supplement, you grew up taking it. It's a local based product, so you believed in it. But it's like you said, these kids, I don't know how I reacted, right? Because if I'm getting life-changing money, even if if there's something that I'm against, I'm not going for the brand, right? If it's something I'm totally against, I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm cool with this. But if it's something I really don't care about, maybe like, do I mind putting on a NASCAR sticker? Probably not, But
Right, like what
the product actually is and what they were paying me, because I don't know how 19, 20-year-old dudes would have responded in that situation, especially if it's life-changing money.
No, I get that, but even like to this day, I never, when I had an opportunity to do a McDonald's deal, ever did anything, and I didn't did anything with it, because I grew up in Dublin, Ohio, home of Wendy's, and I grew up going to Wendy's. Like that was to me, like if it's like Ohio State, Michigan, I was like Wendy's versus McDonald's. Like it was natural to me. Like I take my kids there now, or when we're back up home, I'll take them by. So it was, I don't know. Even then, like there's something about like the principle of the matter that matters the most to me. I can't sell something that's not genuinely like utilized, or I have like a strong belief about, or don't have a strong belief about.
With that in mind, if there are any beer companies listening to this podcast, I believe in your product. That's what I'm saying, Simmons. Stan, why are we not sponsored by a craft beer company?
Why does it matter? What about the beer they use in the Old Tuffy? How come they haven't sponsored you?
The Old Tuffy is actually out now. We'll get into it later. Yeah, it's they're rebranding.
Really? That's breaking news. You didn't say anything about that, Brinson.
I think they're rebranding to a Hurricane, Carolina Hurricane style beer. It's a long story. Anyway, speaking of long stories, it's been a long story that Bill Belichick's been writing in New England, and really interesting report. I believe friend of the pod, Tom Curran, of NBC Sports Boston, awesome dude who's been covering the Patriots for a long time. It does great work. He's I think one of like the low-key funniest writers of any like beat writer out there. Tom, in the segment that they showed on NBC Sports Boston, he's like it'd be kind of like it's like Tommy DeVito's a caricature of New York. Like Tom Curran's has very distinct Boston qualities about him. He's like, we kind of he's like, if you could piss up a rope. And he's like, just to use piss for the second time in this segment, which is very Bostonian of him to use piss on like the local like sports broadcast twice in a 3-minute segment. Anyway, here is quickly a clip of Tom reacting to Robert Kraft appearing on College Game Day and discussing Bill Belichick.
When they came out of Germany, conversations I had that week made it very clear that a decision was made and they were going to play out the string, and at the end of the year there would be a parting of the way.
So basically, if you didn't see it, Robert Kraft appeared on College Game Day, and Pat McAfee was like, they're all asking questions, and then McAfee at the end, as they're going to commercial break, is like, nobody, we don't envy you. We know what's happening. We know what you got to do. And then they just like went to commercial. It's like no chance to like for Bob Kraft to say anything. So it's a weird situation. People started talking about it as if, okay, Bob Kraft hasn't used any of these opportunities to counter what has being thrown out there and being discussed about Bill Belichick's future. Yeah. And so Tom Curran reports, as you just heard, that after that Germany game, and remember, Ben Volin reported that going into the Germany game, Belichick might be done midseason, but coming out of that Kraft basically made up his mind, and no amount of winning will change anything. Bill Belichick, of course, got asked about this week, and here's what he had to say.
All the rumors, do you want to keep
Yeah, I'm getting ready for Kansas City.
Bill, while understanding that you're getting ready for Kansas City, have you and Robert discussed your future beyond the season?
Getting ready for Kansas City.
On to Kansas City, basically.
So, hey, Will, I missed that. Can you redo and go take us through all of what we just did there?
Look, Harry, clip the video. I'm trying to set it up as a way of discussing. What do you think? I know you are. Great job by Harry to clip those.
No, I hear you did a great job. It was more of you and like the long-winded story to finally get to like where we needed to get to. So
I'm getting my talking in now. I'm going to sit back.
Like this.
I'm going to sit back and drink my Celsius. I'm going to sit back and drink my Celsius energy drink after I ask you, Brady, what happens with Bill Belichick at the end of the season? Is he done?
I'm going to pound a Celsius as soon as the show is over. I can promise you that. Great question. Do you guys kind of feel like, remember the report first came out that maybe Belichick had a job lined up already next year? There were some feelers and whatnot. Like,
correct. Yeah.
I almost feel like it was one of those deals where it's like, you're in high school and it's like, well, I don't know. I'm thinking, hey, Leger, I'm thinking about, breaking up with so-and-so. And all of a sudden you tell someone else and it gets around and someone's like, well, no, like I'm like, wait a second. And like next thing I hear, it's like, no, they're breaking up with me. Like, I feel like obviously the season and where things have gone since Tom Brady left have led us to this point. But I also feel like there's some suitors. They're not going to fire him. They have to trade him. They have to work together probably to make that trade happen. So, look, we know the end is coming. Like, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think, though, it's another freight train about ready to run us over. Like, I think it's a new beginning probably for Bill Belichick, whether it's with the Chargers or you've heard rumors of like Tampa Bay, some of those other organizations that are looking for a guy like Bill Belichick who's won as many Super Bowls as he has as a head coach and as an assistant.
Yeah, if you look at this scenario, it'll be interesting because you brought up a great point, Brady. Is this a scenario where we potentially get a trade, right, for Bill Belichick? There's a team that you didn't mention where we know the owner has got a handprint on football decisions, and it's where Will lives, right, in Carolina. Sure. Dave Tepper. Like, I've heard rumors, supposedly, he's a guy that likes to get a shiny name in the building. There's rumors supposedly that Bill Belichick could be a guy he's eyeing to be the head coach for the Carolina Panthers. Now, again, we talked about this last week, Brady. Are we comfortable with Bill Belichick, if he was to stay with the Patriots, grooming a new young quarterback? Well, they have a young quarterback that has had some struggles in Carolina. Are you comfortable bringing Bill Belichick over there? Depending on the staff, we know Josh McDaniels is probably going to be a guy that he maybe could eye if he does go to Carolina. We saw him have success with Mac Jones his rookie year. The thing is, you have a quarterback that's going to be there for the next 3, probably 4 years. Do you trust Bill Belichick to groom him to be the franchise guy is the only question there. So I think we saw the writing on the wall when it comes to Bill Belichick. If you look at his record just at New England without Tom Brady, right? Believe it's 46-55, something like that, under 500, has struggled, without Brady being there. And usually, Brady, we know this, teams usually don't last that long with one head coach. So he's had a heck of a run there. Sometimes it's just time to move on. I think the Patriot way is not what it used to be anymore. It's time for them to kind of restart with that franchise and bring in some new blood.
Brady, I got 2 questions, 2 follow-ups for you. I'm curious. One, can Bill Belichick drag Dante Scarnecchia out of retirement and bring him to Carolina? Because if he can, I don't know, like Scarnecchia kind of underrated in terms of like the downfall in New England. And then 2,
the line's been their biggest issue
in Carolina.
Oh, no, he's saying Carolina. He's saying bring him to Carolina, not New England. Yeah.
No, I'm saying like
no. The quarterback is the issue. The offense is the issue. Quarterback's the issue. But I'm wondering, there was some talk of a quote-unquote de facto trade of Bill Belichick, basically like the Patriots being willing to take way less than what you would normally get for a coach of Belichick's caliber in order to facilitate a trade that means you never actually have to fire Bill Belichick. I'm curious if you think that's a possibility. And also, is David Tepper more or less likely to give Belichick personnel control in Carolina?
God, I hope not.
It's a great question, especially considering personnel has been the issue with this roster since Tom Brady hasn't been there anymore. And even when he was there, that's probably part of the issue too.
For sure.
So, look, I think there's also got to be some hesitation from Bill Belichick, from an owner that you've watched rip the rug out from underneath Matt Rule, and now, looking at Coach Reich in the first year. So maybe he doesn't want to have to deal with an owner who's, overly involved to that capacity. Look, it's Bill Belichick. He's won, multiple Super Bowls, been to so many, brought the sort of success that the New England Patriots and Robert Kraft could have never experienced without him. So he's not firing him. I'm sorry. Like, you can say I'm dumb, call me whatever you think. They're going to trade him. They will say they went their separate ways. It's not going to be a bad breakup, I don't think, by the end of it. There's just too much history there. There's too much success there. And I think there's probably too much in the end to be thankful for that Bill Belichick really brought to this organization, especially considering the valuation of that franchise and how much more they've won and gained over the past 2 decades. So I don't see it happening. Maybe there's some sort of trade so they don't have to do that, to your point, Will, but I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me whatever you want.
Do you think
Bill Belichick?
Do you think it gets to a point maybe where what if they can't trade him, Brady, and Robert Kraft goes to Bill?
They'll say they agree to go their separate ways.
But that's what. But what if Bill says, "I'm not going anywhere. You got to fire me"? Because that was a rumor too earlier this offseason.
It's not you. It's me. It's the whole Seinfeld. It's not
there was an interesting, and Curran mentioned this too. It's like, so Ian Rappaport had come out a few weeks ago, maybe like a month and a half ago, randomly on a Sunday morning. It was like, Bill Belichick just signed a lucrative long-term extension. It was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. The Patriots suck. And it's like, he's like, sign this offseason. Curran noted on this same broadcast that it's actually only through 2024. So you really only have 1 year of a buyout with Belichick. And you're talking what, like $30 million? That's a lot of money, but you could easily.
Is that how much is being paid?
I was going to say, is it that high?
I would be shocked if it's anything. I would be shocked if it's anything less than that. Sean Payton gets 20 plus. You think
Bill's getting 15 a year?
15 a year? Bill makes nobody knows what Bill makes. That's how high it is. I think it's like 30 million a year.
Really?
Dude, Sean Payton makes 20 something from the Broncos.
Yeah, but the Patriot way, they've always taken less money.
Hey, Will, how do you know this?
I don't.
How do you know this, Will?
Yeah, Will's got an inside man.
Because I got knowledge.
A particular set of skills.
No, I mean, do you think Belichick does not make less than $20 million a year?
I don't know what he makes. None of it's public knowledge. Like everyone can look up.
Nobody even knew he had an extension or addendum to his contract until that came out. Somebody said it was signed in the offseason. We didn't find out about it until midway through the season.
The Patriot way, where you take less, doesn't apply to coaches because there's no salary cap for the coaches. Like that's just Robert Kraft is printing money off the Patriots, and paying Bill Belichick $30 million a year ain't like is kind of a drop in the bucket relative to what they make. So I would be surprised if it's less than $30 million a year. I think Belichick would probably take a buyout at $15 million, and as long as there's no like offset, basically go coach
more
wherever.
Than every player on that team.
Yeah, there's no salary cap.
That's the other thing, though. So if you do trade him, it's not hitting their cap. You're just giving up draft capital in exchange for whatever that contract looks like. But you'd think that he would want an extension in order to go there. But whatever, we should move on. Like I said, this isn't to me the most topical thing right now.
They're saying $20 million for Belichick. NBC Sport as Belichick at 20.
I was about to say 30. Will, that's crazy.
I love when Will gets so excited he can't even get the words out. Like he's running. His mind's running so fast. He's like, Dude, I cannot wait to have one.
30 mil. Good Lord.
Great. Anyway, you mentioned the Chargers as a possible landing spot for Bill Belichick. So why not mention that Justin Herbert now out for the season with is it right index? He already had a thumb injury, right? Now it's right index finger, broken right index finger. Yeah. His whole right hand is busted up. I don't like to credit the Chargers for much.
It was his left thumb.
I was like the left
thumb,
before.
right index finger.
Yeah, now it's right in. Yeah.
So I had what's called mallet finger. All right. So mallet finger, right? You have a fracture at the.
Is your finger?
It's a little crooked. I know.
Oh, dude. Hey,
okay. Just pause. All right. This is what happens when you try to play with an injury and it doesn't go well. Okay. So yes, it's a little crooked. All right. But I broke the bone up in here. The ligaments got torn off of this. Right. So obviously the finger then's kind of like hanging like this. All right. And the problem with that is when you're throwing a football, clearly you need that finger to really flick and spin the football. It's the last thing that touches it when you throw. Yep. So if you have no power, no pop off that, you then have to switch and kind of push more from your middle finger, adjust your grip, kind of more like sidearm it and not really get on top of it as much when you're throwing the ball in order to still generate that spin and try to maintain that accuracy. So happened in Monday Night Football, tried to play the following week, wasn't going to work. They basically took me out of half and we elected to get surgery. So they drove pins in here, all right, like straight this way, and they drove pins in at an angle that way. And those things are going to sit in there for about 6 weeks because it takes about 6 weeks for the bones to heal. And then hopefully everything gets reattached. And then once you rip those things out, and trust me, I got an arm block. I watched the doctor do it. It's not very complicated. They get a set of pliers. He put his foot up against the table and he just yanked those things out. And it was one of the craziest things I've ever witnessed when you watch something be pulled out of your body like that and you can't feel a thing.
Same thing happened to my pec when they did the stitches. I was like, dude, you're not going to ease? No, it was like a rip. Like,
it is aggressive.
Yeah.
So after that, you literally go through finger rehab. Like that's what you do. You put stim on it, all this stuff. You're icing it, all these different things. You're trying to get back the feeling, trying to get back the strength. It seems like it's like not a significant injury. For a quarterback, it's huge. Okay. Yeah. Like it's huge because it's literally the last thing that touched the football. My fingers never felt the same, like throwing it. My nail never grows back the same. And as well as you've pointed out, yes, my finger, obviously because I tried to play with it, it only made it more crooked with the way it ended up setting and healing. So it is what it is. But that is one of the things.
Who'd you play on Monday Night Football? I like trying to find these stats of like how you played with that broken finger.
So I hit it off Marcus Stroud's helmet in 2008 on Monday Night Football with Cleveland versus the Bills. Stroud was a beast, by the way. The whole D line was a beast.
Oh yeah, the next game you went 8 of 18 for 94 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, it did not go well. So clearly, I mean,
it's not me like being a jerk. I mean,
I know. Here's the problem: is we found out because I thought I stoved it. It was so cold in Buffalo. I didn't get X-rays till Wednesday night. I went through practice, and our OC's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Dude, my middle finger was really swollen. My right index finger was swollen, blood under a nail." And I said, I can't like feel my fingers. Like it's really painful. I can't really push, can't throw. Our trainer's like, hey, let's go get x-rays. And so we went and got x-rays and they called me that night. They're like, hey, this is not good. Like this is what we're going to try to do to try to hopefully help you play and go forward with it. So I said, that's fine. But we kind of knew going into the game, like it was not overly effective. And if I had like 90 or whatever yards passing, it literally like half of that came on like one throw to Braylon Edwards, I think up the sidelines. That ended up being like the only good ball I probably threw the entire day. But it was
23-yard catch for Braylon Edwards there.
Yeah, there you go.
It was 30 degrees, wind 9 miles per hour, and a wind chill of 22.
Is this Buffalo?
Chilly. Yeah.
Yo, dude, that was cold.
Can't feel anything out there in Buffalo.
Legendary Dick Geron coaching the Bills in that game. Trent Edwards took you down. Actually, no, you took Trent Edwards down. You won the game.
Yeah, we had we did a 2-minute drive and Phil Dawson kicked, I think, a 50-yarder somewhere in there.
56.
There you go. Wow. All I remember was, man, my man Kellen, he was supposed to run like an 18 to 22-yard crossing route. He turned it into a 6-yard shallow cross. I'm like, this isn't going to work, dude. Like,
who do you think is coaching the Chargers next year, assuming it's not Brandon Staley? And it can't be Brandon Staley, right?
I would say Ben Johnson makes the most sense to me, just because you got all the weapons you need, right? We talked about the Chargers can't waste another year of Justin Herbert's career. We know the talent that he has. And Brady, to your point now, it'll be interesting to see how that rehab works because, like you said, you made a really good point saying that index finger is the last thing that touches the ball, right? So you said the finger never felt the same. So it'll be interesting to see. And Justin Herbert's had a few injuries. He had the cartilage with the ribs. He had the thumb on the other hand. He's had, I believe, an ankle or a back before. So he's a tough kid. He's going to go out there and lay it on the line. But it'll be interesting to see the turnover of this roster, too, because you would assume that Keenan Allen most likely is not going to be there next year. Also, Austin Eckler could potentially not be there as well. So I think Ben Johnson makes the most sense if you're trying to get the most out of Justin Herbert. The funny thing is, like, Staley being there was supposed to make this defense elite because that's what he's known for. The defense has been awful, though. Like, that's been the weak link of this team. And they have some guys over there, right? They have named guys over there. So it'll be interesting to see how they retool this roster. I believe Telesco is the GM, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So it'd be interesting to see if they keep Telesco.
Yeah. That's another thing too. So
as I understand it, Telesco, big reason why Sean Payton wasn't pursued heavily, even though Sean Payton wanted that Chargers job, because Telesco knows he's going to lose a power battle. And of course the ownership's cheap. They don't want to pay Telesco if they fire him. They don't want to pay Brandon Staley if they fire him. They believe Brandon Staley's the guy, but Telesco didn't want Staley getting fired and being replaced by Sean Payton because that, Sean Payton, the type of coach with the authority to
some of that power from you.
Yep.
I think the interesting thing will be you're going from Brandon Staley, who's a defensive-minded head coach. Do they go with another one, considering some of the issues they've had defensively, because they see a team like the Texans with DeMeco Ryans, or they see whoever you want to touch on. Baltimore Ravens defense has been really good with Mike McDonald. Or do they go with an offensive mind like Ben Johnson? He's clearly one of the top candidates. There's no doubt about it, what he's been able to do with Jared Goff, in particular over the past 2 years. I think the Harbaugh one's interesting only because we heard this rumor of like the extension, and the extension was contingent upon him basically agreeing not to pursue an NFL job. That was probably a week or so ago. And
nothing since then.
Nothing since then. So you kind of wonder if he's not only preparing to try to win a national championship, focused on that, but also behind the scenes, they're like, well, I can drag this out because I don't need to make a decision. And Brandon Staley's still the head coach. So they're not starting their search, but we kind of feel like the writing's on the wall there. The whole thing's pretty perplexing, but I do think he would be the most interesting outside the NFL of assistants candidate, and one that comes with probably some credibility because he's already had success and won an NFC championship with the San Francisco 49ers. And I think it's
three of them, right?
And has been known as being a guy who can build up a organization, build up a roster, build up a team, and coach and develop, which I think is highly lacking. Like, to me right now, if you're looking for the next head coach of a team, one of the biggest things that just doesn't happen anymore is development, because there's no time for it. If you find a coach who figures out how to develop players, it's only going to make the front office and the general manager look better, and it's only going to help your team in the long run anyway. So I just think that's one of those intangibles that Jim Harbaugh brings. He's proven at the NFL level, he's proven at the college level, that you're not getting with kind of an unknown guy who's just known for a scheme on one side of the ball.
And I think too, if you could make the case that if you were trying to find an NFL team really over the last like 5 years that was looking to hire a coach that reminded you of that 49ers team when Harbaugh took over, that was just loaded with talent, had the quarterback position in theory solved. I would say Herbert's a better option than Alex Smith was. But you had Vernon Davis, you had Michael Crabtree, you had all these guys on the defensive side of the ball, and Harbaugh stepped in and flipped that team over immediately. This Chargers team is primed to be flipped immediately if you get a good coach in there and you can stay remotely healthy. So I like that. I like the Harbaugh idea a lot. And the timing wise, we assume they're not going to fire Brandon Staley until after the season. So that's January 1st.
I mean,
which means Harbaugh
tomorrow could change their mind.
Well, yeah, but Harbaugh has time to let the playoffs kind of play out.
Correct.
If he's the guy, he can see, all right, am I going to beat? If he loses to Alabama, maybe he's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to LA. Or you beat Alabama, then you can decide, do you want to try to win the, play the national title, and then hope the Chargers string along. We see in the chat, Matthias. Cheers from Brazil. Well,
hey, football's coming to you, buddy.
I say the NFL's coming to Brazil.
Yeah, that's right. The NFL announced on Wednesday, I forgot what day it was, that at the owners' meetings in Dallas, that the NFL will be moving or sending one game in 2024 to Brazil. Your thoughts on? Would you rather play in Sao Paulo?
I'm hoping I'm going. That's all I'm saying.
That's me too.
Me too. The Pick Six podcast should go live from Brazil. Should
the whole week. The whole entire week.
Really? A whole month?
Whole month.
It's a little aggressive, Will, asking for a lot there. I mean, a whole week's fine, but
Have you been to Brazil before?
Never. And I've heard nothing but fantastic things. Have you been, Leger?
It's amazing. Yeah, I actually was blessed enough to, and again, you got to be smart in this situation. I went to the favelas, right, as they were training for Carnival, because it's like everything's based off the neighborhood you're in, right? So they all train and get ready for the big dance for Carnival, and it was one of the best cultural experiences I ever had. Now, again, I don't suggest anybody just walks into the favelas and goes into the neighborhood. Like, we knew somebody from there that took us in there, so we were okay, like going into the favelas. Again, one of the dopest cultural experiences I've ever had, being able to dance with the locals, drink with them, have a good time. It was an amazing experience for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's go. Maybe Maybe not. Maybe let's just get to the game. I don't know if I don't know if I should be.
Which one do you want to go to? The favelas, or you want to go to the game?
Necessarily.
Don't look at Will's search history. The NFL has been really aggressive with this international push, and
for sure.
I think it does call to question, what has been the urgency behind it, or why so much? Is it trying to grow the game globally from a viewership standpoint, for money, for potential suitors? Is it for expansion? You'd have to think that we're so far off from being able to create another expansion, couple teams, division, or a competitive league, mind you. I understand that you could solve a lot of things with money, but that doesn't solve skill. It doesn't solve
South isn't even competitive. How are we going to build another competitive division?
Right. And that's the thing is, and maybe like the NFL product is so palatable that you could create a whole nother league that's branded with the NFL, and the football doesn't have to be that great because you've got other leagues in the USFL and XFL that have guys who want to play or are out there trying to play. And maybe there's enough to support that. Now, again, the degree of football might not be quite as good, but if you can support the business model with the gambling revenue that's now become a part of it, with all sorts of international money that we've seen now get involved in plenty of other sports in a big way, golf, baseball in particular, off the top of my head, maybe there is a future there, but it does call into question, again, you want to grow and broaden your fan base and grow your brand, but at the same time, there also is a question of like, well, what happens to the smaller markets at home? What happens to
what's the end game?
Yeah, it's taking away those games from the smaller markets that you'd normally that's what they thrive on. Throughout the course of the year, they obviously have an NFL team, but still like that's huge economic stimulus when they're there. When they're not, they feel it big time.
I think it's notable too that they have really cranked up the quality of games that they've sent out internationally, basically, which is also a money thing, but also they want to grow the fan base. They're sort of capped out. Everyone in America likes the NFL. That's gonna you're not flipping some town in Kansas onto the NFL. Like everyone who's in America is onto the NFL if they like it. Other outside of the age range. I'm curious. One more thing from the owners' meetings news: Super Bowl 2027 announced for Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Where's Miami? Like, why doesn't Miami get another one?
Yeah.
So our next
Miami
next
would get another one before LA got another one.
Vegas. No, we got two teams in LA. That's why we got Vegas, New Orleans.
That's not why.
San Francisco, which already got another one somehow. And then Los Angeles, already back in the rotation.
First off, so many West Coast teams.
How about it? Like staying on the West Coast, ain't they?
It's personally, it's awful. I think for that week of everything that goes on,
brutal.
Brutal for anyone who's a part of.
Brady went through it last year in Arizona. Going to go through it again this year in Vegas. Getting up at 3 a.m. and being on air is tough.
But that's a selfish thing, but I think most people are like, hey man, everyone's got to deal with that. That's on early in the mornings, and then just how the day unfolds. So that's not very well thought out. I get it. You build a stadium there, and you clearly need to continue to keep generating revenue for everything that's going on there. But Miami put money into their Hard Rock Stadium, and they got awarded one Super Bowl, but it's a great destination. We've seen
even
COVID
Atlanta
too.
Indoor Dome,
Atlanta as well.
They didn't have it in 2019.
Atlanta's a little bit recent, but I just Tampa Bay they had during COVID. I think that's the other thing that I look at when I look out and say, if there is a concern over a pandemic, something else, like the NFL pushed forward, there's only one place that really opened it up. So I'm sure they have contingencies built in, but it was a stark contrast from California and LA in particular, and then South Florida. So I find it kind of interesting though. They keep going back to a place and back to the West Coast. San Francisco has been awful. That last time I was there was an awful deal. Terrible.
Stepped in a bunch of
stadium's
poop.
Not near anything. It's like right outside of San Jose.
Human poop everywhere, and you got to take the freaking. It's like an hour and a half ride to the stadium. LA, the traffic's terrible. Yeah. I will note too that LA and Tampa, did they flip? They had to flip because the stadium wasn't going to be ready in time in LA. So that's one more. Maybe it's even LA and Miami. I can't remember exactly. But the point being is, LA back. New Orleans, I would say New Orleans is the number one spot to have the Super Bowl. Always.
Wait, where's Dallas in the mix? Dallas hasn't got one in a while.
Dallas definitely would be one. They had
Dallas had the Super Bowl.
My World first opened up. Yeah,
my first year with
Houston
CBS. They haven't had one since.
2016 season, I think. Houston's another place could be a really good Super Bowl.
Yeah, Houston. Yeah, Houston's fun. Dallas. Remember, Dallas had the disaster with the weather, the ice.
They had the snowstorms. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, Brady Quinn is going to do his favorite thing in the entire world, and that's draft a fantasy team. Next.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, we're going to draft a playoff fantasy roster.
Okay.
Cool. Basically, for the teams who are currently in the playoffs, you're going to draft a fantasy football roster. Just pick the best players.
Okay.
We
each get to do one, or just all of us?
Just the two of you. I'll be the draft conductor, as it were.
Okay. All right.
The commissioner,
all right.
so to speak. Dudes is going to pick first. Dudes, you get to pick. Harry.
Easy.
I think this is just the rest of the. Is this the rest of the season, or is this the rest of? Let's count the playoffs. Do we count the playoffs? Could you go Josh Allen and hope he gets in as like the 16th?
No, this is only for teams that are currently in the playoffs, and that's why I've got the graphic
for the
up
rest
there.
of the season. Okay, yeah. All right, I don't know. All right, dudes, you get to pick a quarterback from this group of teams.
Whoa! Why? If it's fantasy, why do I?
You can pick anything you want. Yeah. You could go Christian McCaffrey.
Come on now. Yeah, it's obvious. I'm going CMC. First
Put that list back up there.
Yeah. Next, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, a kicker, and a DST.
Yeah, I'm going CMC.
Okay.
So this is just for the rest of the regular season, huh?
You should probably take Joe Flacco.
Yeah. I'm going with Lamar Jackson.
I like that pick. It's a good pick. So Brady has his quarterback locked. We're going to do it as a snake style draft, Brady. So you get 2 picks here, which I'm sure you knew. That means
I
you
know
can
what a
pick.
snake style draft is. Please do not do that to me. All right, hold on. I had to look for a running back now.
You don't have to. You can take a wide receiver if you think there's.
That is true. That is true. I could. And Justin Jefferson's coming back, but I don't know because I'll take Tyreek Hill obviously because he's banged up.
Sorry, dudes. I wasn't trying to hand him Tyreek.
Yeah, you did. You put me out there.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Good Lord,
but
you
good Sandlot reference. I will say in fairness, Tyreek Hill's banged up, and there's some pretty good wide receivers still out there.
Yeah, there are.
I'm going a surprise here, and this is just based off fantasy. Go Raheem.
And you
Mostert.
get 2 picks here.
Raheem Mostert.
Okay, spicy.
16
and you get another
rushing
pick.
Touchdowns this year.
You get another pick as well.
See, this is where it's a struggle, right?
See now,
I could go quarterback or I could go receiver.
Since I banged you on the Brady Tyreek thing, I will just point out that Justin Jefferson, a great receiver, but there's also 2.
But if he's hurt again, so that's what I'm like. I don't want to take him. He's hurt because we're doing it off of what they're doing right now, right? And going forward.
Yeah, basically the rest of the season.
So I could take AJ Brown, but CeeDee Lamb has been cooking. Give me CeeDee Lamb.
All right,
Brady.
I'll take AJ Brown.
Okay. Two-man fantasy league is always fun. You're usually
how are we incorporating tight ends to this?
1 tight end.
This is tough.
Well, you got to shake it off and pick somebody.
All right, jeez, man. Sorry, put a lot of pressure.
It's a Taylor Swift joke, man.
This could be a mistake, but maybe not. I'm gonna go with Travis Kelce.
That was why I said shake it off. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce.
I know. You subliminally put it in the back of my head, and then I couldn't get over it. I was like, all right.
I thought you were gonna go Sam Laporta.
No, but I mean,
I wouldn't be opposed to Sam Laporta. It's like
you should be opposed to Sam Laporta. You should not.
I am preposed to Sam Laporta.
Okay, it's on me now, right? I got.
Did Brady pick 1 or 2 just there?
He picked 2.
AJ Brown and Travis Kelce. That's right. All right.
Correct. I need another receiver. I need a quarterback. I need a tight end.
The Lions are pretty ripe at the moment for some fantasy value.
Yeah, I already know. Let me get a Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take Brock Purdy.
Ooh, saucy.
Y'all better look at what he's done fantasy-wise.
Oh, he's been great. Maybe started him over Lamar
He
Jackson.
actually is my starting quarterback. The crazy thing is I got him and Lamar.
I know, we talked about it last week. Did you win?
Yeah, I did. You know what's crazy? Yo, Brady and Brinson, I got to tell you. So I was playing Jacqueline in our CBS league, and I was going back and forth whether to start Lamar or Brock Purdy, right? Lamar was coming off the bye, which for some odd reason, Jack, our commissioner, decided to do playoffs starting last week, which was ridiculous because teams were still on byes.
Right? So
Lamar's coming off a bye, even though he's playing the NFC and he's never lost to him. I'm like, they might start a little slow. I'm going to go with Brock. Brock got me almost 30 points. Lamar had like 38 points. I had him on the bench. Then I also benched Derrick Henry because they were playing the Dolphins. And if you look at what he's done against teams where they've been double-digit underdogs, his like fantasy numbers average like 5 points. He scores 2 touchdowns in the game. Of course, I have the Steelers defense and the Jets defense. The Steelers were playing the Patriots, whose offense has been anemic.
They got carved.
Got carved up. The Jets had like 25 points on defense versus Texans, and I had them benched.
The irony of you. The irony of you benching the Jets and getting carved up by the Patriots shouldn't be lost on you, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Yeah,
76 points was on the bench, and I still eked out a win.
Good for you. Good for you. All right. You took Purdy and Amon St. Brown, right? So Brady, you're up for 2.
Yep.
All right. This is a tough one because I feel like there's a number of places I could go. I want to go wide receiver next, though. I wanted to take Justin Jefferson because you took CeeDee Lamb already, right?
Yep, I took CD.
I'm going to go Justin Jefferson.
Even though he might not play the rest of the year?
Well, I mean, that's not the biggest issue. It's like, is Nick Mullins going to be able to get him the football?
That's true.
It's
a big issue if he's not dressed, though.
I feel like if I don't take him, though, that's an even bigger issue. And suppose he's day-to-day with the chest injury, right? So,
I mean, he left the game and didn't come back, so I don't know.
Okay, now I have to go with running backs. Travis Etienne.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
I tell you what, there's a sneaky one out there that just a guy who's, and I'm not saying
I already got it. I
know who you're talking about too. So hold on, we need 3 receivers. I need one more receiver. Oh, we get a flex too. Ooh.
Oh wait, do we get a flex?
Yes, you get a flex.
What
So if we're playing fantasy rules, it's tough, right? Because I could go Debo, but he's competing with CMC.
Ooh, I got some guys then.
I shouldn't have said anything to Ray. I don't think Brady was thinking about him.
I didn't know we got a flex.
But did you take a second running back?
All.
Who'd you take? ETN and who else?
Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
No, at running back, he said. You only got one running back?
Yeah. I still need 2 more. I have a flex and a running back.
All right. I mean, you could go 4 receivers, flex technically.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
So let me go with, this is tough.
Missing
When is Christian Kirk supposed to come back?
I think his testicle exploded, so I'm not sure I'd draft him.
Oh,
I don't really mean that. I don't know if that's what happened. Something bad happened with his groin.
Racist. Goodness, Brinson.
Oh, that's what people were saying.
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
I'm still gonna go. Let me go Debo.
Okay.
I
think I missed. Oh, no.
And Sam Laporta.
And Laporta. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's what I have it as right now with Brady on the clock for 2. Dudes has Purdy, CMC, Mostert, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Sam Laporta. And Brady has Lamar Jackson, Travis Etienne, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, and Travis Kelce. Brady with a RB spot open and a flex spot open. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yep. My flex is a wide receiver. It's going to be Mike Evans.
Okay.
Oh yeah. What's up? And then I'm going to stay on the same team and go Rashad White.
That's the underrated dude. He has been awesome.
He's been killing in fantasy.
He's playing great lately. He has like the same role as Alvin Kamara, and like, but I mean, he's not as talented, but still.
I feel good. About mine.
All right, dudes, you're up for a flex, and then you have a kicker and a defense.
Yeah,
kicker. Gee, come on.
Give me. Oh God, I'm all in on San Fran. Give me San Fran's defense. I got a flex still.
I'm trying to think who I would take for a flex. Who's left?
That's what I'm saying. There's one guy.
Kadarius Toney.
That's funny. Actually, you know what? Give me Tucker as the kicker.
Oh, spicy. All right. Actually, that's a smart move because Brady can't draft any more skill guys.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, yeah. Now, in theory, what you probably should have done is wait until the very last pick to take a quarterback because Brady drafted Lamar early. But I digress.
Yeah.
Brady,
I probably would have took Brock or Dak either way, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Brady, you're up for a kicker and a defense.
For kicker, let me go with Brandon Aubrey.
Okay, I thought you were
that's actually a really good one.
For defense, this is tough because you have to like factor in, I think, who they play. We're going for the rest of the regular season, right?
Yeah. And playoffs too, right? Or no?
Just regular season.
Okay.
I think. Because some of these teams might miss the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, I guarantee a few of them are.
I'm going to take the Browns. They play the Texans, Jets, and Bengals.
All right, and dudes, you wrap it up with a flex pick.
Right.
I'm trying to think who I would even take in this spot. It's a hard one. Actually, I know.
I could go Devontae Smith.
Yeah, that was one of the two I had.
But if we're doing fantasy, a guy that should be back. I could go Gibbs too, though. Ooh. I'm gonna go Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, spicy. You could have,
I think we're going to see this offense.
As Harry noted in the chat, you could have just leaned into the San Fran stack and gone Brandon Ayuk. I also think Michael Pittman's playing some good football.
I thought about Michael Pittman too, but I just like Garner one game is fired. The next game, you just never know.
Yeah. All right. Pretty good job by you guys, especially, Dudes clearly knows his way around a fantasy locker room. Brady. Do you play fantasy, Brady? Am I wrong?
No, not at all. But by the way, look at my squad. Are you excited about the fact?
I mean, I'm saying you did a good job. Like, that's what I was doing. I was complimenting you. I believe that we may be able to get a look at the full squads in a moment. But I would say, I think if I'm grading the teams, I'll give you both A pluses, quite honestly.
It's not that hard when it's only two people. If it was like 4,
right. But you are down to 14 teams. You don't get the full 32 teams.
Yeah, but there's a reason why these teams are in the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah, they have. That's right. They have better players. That's why they are in the playoffs. There's actually a really interesting game theory format called playoff best ball. You can do it on Underdog, where you go and you draft teams based on so you could go draft a bunch of Bills right now, and you would get them late because the Bills aren't in the playoffs. And if the Bills make a playoff run, you've suddenly got a unique team. All right, here's your two teams. That was just me filibustering. Here's your two teams. Like yeah, good job by producer Harry, as usual, with the graphics. Brady, grade your own team. Lamar Jackson, Travis.
Come on. I mean, look at it this way. I maybe have the MVP in Lamar Jackson at quarterback, who obviously is going to impact the passing game and running the football. ETN, Rachaad White, both impactful running the football, catching the football. Tyreek Hill might go over 2,000 yards this year. The ankle, a little bit of concern. A.J. Brown's one of the top, producing wide receivers. Justin Jefferson can be and probably will be if he's back healthy. Yeah. That's an if.
And he told reporters he'll be back in week 15, I believe. Or week 16, maybe. Week 16.
So that's next. Too
tough to pass up on. Yeah. Kelsey's the only thing that makes the Chiefs offense go. Evans has been ridiculously productive this year, kind of flown under the radar. Aubrey's yet to miss a field goal, and the Browns, look at the rest of their schedule, and that defense has been lights out.
All right, Leger, what about you?
I mean, you talked about Lamar Jackson being the MVP. I literally, by the odds, I think have the second highest odds to win the MVP in Brock Purdy right now. Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert have been the top 2 backs in fantasy this year. So that's why I said it's based off fantasy, right? CeeDee Lamb, we've talked about him. He's been a top 5 receiver this year. St. Brown, too, has been an under-the-radar guy that's had a really successful fantasy season and a really good season. Deebo Samuel missed a couple games early in this year, so his numbers aren't as big as the other receivers. But we've seen what he's done the last 3 weeks of the season. It's just been ridiculous. Yeah. I think Laporta is the top tight end in fantasy right now, if I'm not mistaken. Isaiah Pacheco, I believe, is the 5th leading rusher in the NFL. Justin Tucker, the name speaks for itself. And the 49ers defense is just suffocating.
So here was some of the thought process, too, in picking running backs is look at the schedule, for example, that Raheem Mostert has the rest of the season. He's going to play the Jets defense, the Cowboys defense, at Baltimore versus Buffalo.
I got you. I mean, Buffalo.
Dolphins might miss the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah.
You said what?
Dolphins could miss the playoffs. I wouldn't rule that out.
Yeah. They could lose out, honestly.
The other thing is, and I'm only saying this, don't get mad, don't shoot the messenger here, okay?
At Brady _Quinn
McCaffrey usually gets banged up sometimes. I'm just
wow.
They got to play at Arizona divisional game, then Baltimore, Washington, LA. I'm just
if CMC gets hurt, that little clip
they're coming after you.
May go nuclear. Yeah, that's right. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk very quickly about Thursday Night Football. Next.
Are you using a plunger to unclog the shake machine, as in the same plunger we use to unclog the toilet? No.
We're going to be opening Mega Good Burgers in cities all over the world.
Whoa. Megacorp wants to replace everybody with robots. We got to do something. Here's your burger.
That's not soap, by the way. It's maple syrup.
Why?
All right. Let's talk some Thursday Night Football. Look, the bottom line is this game's not great. If you're on CBS, I'd tell you how amazing it was.
I mean, we thought that about the Patriots and Steelers game. It actually ended up being pretty good, entertaining. I saw your tweet, Will, right? The over hit in the first half.
Yeah. If you were playing DFS and you loaded up on offensive players, you cashed in pretty good. People were expecting a low-scoring game. And we're going to get Easton Stick versus Aiden O'Connell
we, though? There's rumors supposedly that Jimmy Garoppolo or Brian Hoyer could play this week.
What? Did I see that? I didn't see that.
I don't think Aiden O'Connell's played that bad. I mean,
they didn't score any points last week, Brady.
I understand that, but like, I guess in comparison to watching the Vikings offense, I was like, hey, it wasn't that bad. I thought they moved the ball a little better.
Offense.
I don't know. So I think Aiden O'Connell is starting.
So they already came out and confirmed it.
No, now they're saying undecided. Interesting.
I was gonna say that's what I'm saying. I saw something that said they were undecided.
That would happen this afternoon.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I saw. Yeah.
Antonio Pierce did say Wednesday whether rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell would start Thursday against the Chargers. That leaves open the possibility the team will turn to veteran Jimmy Garoppolo. This is Vincent Bonsignore of the Las Vegas Journal. Bonsignore.
Can I make the case, though, that they never should have benched Garoppolo in the first place? Like,
sure, probably.
He was always your best chance of winning. Like, I'm sorry. It was actually the same thing with the whole Zach Wilson deal. Like,
yeah.
They're there for a reason.
I think this was a scenario where, with a coaching change and McDaniels kind of being the Garoppolo guy, they felt like they had to make a change when they probably shouldn't have made the change. But yeah, the crazy thing is the Raiders are technically still in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do go back, especially, in a game where Justin Herbert isn't playing. You have a really good chance at home. I mean, I think this says something when you didn't score any points last week and you're favored by 3 points in this game.
Is Will muted right now?
I am muted. I muted myself.
There you go. The classic Brinson.
Classic Brinson. Actually, I believe classic Brinson would be not muting myself on the company-wide call and yelling to Ryan Wilson, "Hey, Ryan, I'm on the talent call. What do you think about that?" Before realizing that I was unmuted, which happened to be yesterday.
That was fantastic. I
heard it was like somebody on the call was like, "Will?" I was like, oh my God. Because I got logged in and it like automatically mutes you. And I was like, I didn't think it was going to do that. So I hit the mute button and we were like waiting on Pete to start the podcast. So I had this mic right here. I was like, hey, and Wilson was like, I'm not jumping on that. We don't have time. I was like, I'll just pop on there and see what's going on. And I was like, Wilson, I'm on the call. How you like me now? And it was like, and the entire call heard me say that. So that was fun.
Talking about the call yesterday?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah.
I was on. I got on a little bit late because I had.
Okay, yeah. I said that, and like I heard somebody, Brianna, she was like,
"We only have 30 minutes, so
yeah,
gotta be careful. You think if you got on a little late, you might have missed some stuff. I missed it.
Well, I immediately got a couple Slack messages and several texts, including one from Brady. It was like, "What are you doing, dumbass?"
I did not call you a dumbass.
No, you just said, "You're like, what is wrong?"
I was like, Will. It was such a Brinson move. That was the best part about it. Anyone knows Will? It's like, like you're the guy that walks into a funeral like laughing and like yelling about something.
Early day.
100%.
And then like I heard I was called out. I like started cackling and said, "I'm sorry," and just exited out of the meeting.
He left right away.
I was like, I gotta go. This is humiliating. I was like flustered. I was like trying to ask Pete.
Classic Brinson.
So Raiders and Chargers. What do you see the game? High scoring, low scoring? Do we see anybody stopping anybody? This game doesn't. The biggest storyline in this game to me is that with a win here, wouldn't Antonio Pierce be 3-2 with a really close loss to the Vikings, and a chance to like? I think Antonio Pierce, you win this game and you've got like a real shot at getting this head coaching job.
I think it just depends on the direction you're going to go in. You would assume that they're most likely going to be looking for a quarterback of the future via the draft. So it just depends. Like we talked about this earlier this year, where we thought Rich Bisaccia should have gotten the job.
He'd be 3-3, by the way.
3-3, yeah.
Because he's a leader of men, right? They decided to bring and swing for the fences and bring Josh McDaniels in, and it didn't work out well. So I think ownership and the Davis family are cognizant of that, right? If this team goes out there and wins this game, you talked about it being 3-3 and potentially finishing with 6, 7, 8 wins. I think they'd have to take a hard look at potentially keeping him on staff, just because we talked about this too earlier, Brady. It could be like 8 positions open, and like it's going to be a constant cycle. Like, do you want that?
Maybe more.
Are you that sure that you don't have the guy in the building before you just fire him, and you have to find another guy, and the cycle just continues?
I keep explaining to people, man, that's how much these owners are making. When you see this much turnover at a head coaching position, there's 2 issues with it. One, the owners are making so much they can handle all the payouts.
Correct.
And dealing with all that and the turnover. 2, there needs to be safeguards or some way of putting some mechanisms in to keep them from doing this and hurting themselves. I mean, obviously it's great if you can get that golden parachute, right? Like, awesome. But the reality is it's terrible for player development. It's terrible for the league. I think it creates a lack of parity. If the owners really cared about parity in this league, they would find a way of creating mechanisms to not allow them to do what they do when they move on from coach after coach after coach.
Like take David Tepper's badge and not allow him in the building for a couple of weeks. Like,
I don't know that it's that so much as just saying like there's some sort of penalty. There's something put in place that doesn't that forces them to see
like or coaching salary cap, where if you burn through X amount of dollars on a coach, and they're not going to reveal how much they all make, but like for instance, it's not at all his fault, but Mark Davis in this situation would still be dealing with John Gruden and Josh Daniels under his coaching salary cap, right? And then you're forced to sort of say, okay, like I gotta hire somebody who can stick around for a while, or somebody who
at least 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
exactly.
No, it makes it difficult, I think, for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different ways. So I don't know. I look at it from that standpoint, and just think like I wish there was more accountability held to the owners for the decisions they make.
Do you think that coaches, and this is maybe the Ben Johnson question, because he pulled out of the Carolina job last year. Do you think coaches, even because there's always the saying there's only 32 of these jobs, it's like, yeah, but this thing turns over every like 2 years. Should coaches be a little more discerning about what jobs they take?
Oh, for sure. Of course. I mean, I think they're getting paid so well as coordinators that helps, right? And obviously if you're doing well enough to be a head coaching candidate, you're going to continue to kind of maybe be in that cycle. At least you'd assume so. I mean, there's times when you get guys who obviously are candidates 1 year and then like you never hear about them again.
That's the thing I was about to say. Yeah.
But that's a risk that I think you have to be willing to take, and that's something that you can go take the golden parachute and go be a head coach in an organization you may have reservations about, but you may never get the shot of doing it again.
Yeah,
and that's the hard part. Is then how does that impact you as a coordinator moving forward? Your long-term value as a coach in the league. Maybe
Josh McDaniels is probably never going to be a head coach again.
No, and he's young. And he's young, but like the two chances he had, like neither of which worked out well. It felt like it was almost a disaster. Well, look, in regards to this game, I'm curious about Easton Stick, if he's going to be the guy to not only remain as a backup, but also just remain in the league. Like here's his shot, here's his opportunity.
Correct.
Talented group around him. Kellen Moore, like what can he do with them to see schematically? Obviously, the Raiders have struggled. And then for Aiden O'Connell, if there is pressure on him to have other guys coming back behind him, how far he can come along as a rookie with this group. But it's tough to like want to sell it on what exactly is going to happen in this game. I don't know that these teams are that far apart. It's a 3-point spread. I'd be more on the side of the Chargers here, just thinking that
really
I'm not sure either of these teams right now is that much better than the other. That feels like they're much more even than maybe.
Give me the points, right?
Points, yeah.
All right. So you got the Chargers against the spread. What do you got, Deuce?
Well, I look at it from this way, just being a defensive-minded guy, right? And the defense, we talked about it earlier, has struggled for the Chargers. And then you look at some of the decisions Brandon Staley has made. More specifically, if you just go to last week, right? How many times did he have opportunity to take the field goal and he didn't, right? I believe he went for it on 4th down 3 times, right? And that's his MO. It's always been his MO. We're going to be aggressive. But if you're on the defensive side of that ball and you're in a close game, right, you want to take the points because, the offense has struggled at times. The defense has struggled at times. And now with Easton Stick, you would think in a game like this, points will be at a premium, right? So when we get in those situations, are you going to go for it on 4th down again and not kick the field goal, knowing that they've struggled on offense as well? I just think that's weighed a little bit on his team. And if you watch film, Brady, you can see it. There's times where their top players, Derwin James, is, we call it biting the cheese, right? Taking the underneath route instead of being in zone coverage where he's supposed to. I think it's because they're pressing to make plays on that side of the ball because of what has happened. So I actually lean towards the Raiders. Now, again, we don't even know who's going to be starting for them yet. Could it be Aiden O'Connell? Could it be Jimmy Garoppolo? I think Antonio Pierce maybe does make a change just to kind of try to jumpstart this offense. And the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Myers has played a lot better with him when he was in the lineup. So I can see that being a significant change if he goes in. Also, Josh Jacobs, will he be able to go? He had the quad injury late in the game last week, short week, you know how it is, Brady. Will he, with that quad injury, will he be healthy enough to actually play and be effective in this game is a big point of emphasis in this game. So I'm leaning towards the Raiders covering the points.
I'm leaning towards Max Duggan anytime touchdown. Put me. You
think he's going to come in for Easton Stick?
Max Duggan, dude, get him out there with Quentin Johnson and Darius Davis, and let's run some TCU offense, baby. Like chunk that ball around and get weird.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Kellen Moore, just run that TCU, run that Horned Frogs. Yeah. We're gonna run the damn ball. All right, we're gonna get out of here. That's the show. Thanks for watching. For Deuce, for Brady, I'm Brinson. Make sure to smash that like button. We'll see you guys later. Bye.